Well, good morning, Dr. Bauer. It is Tuesday, October 28th. It is the Tuesday after our action meeting that we hold every single month on the third Thursday of every month. And we do our Superintendent Live at the beginning of the next week. We've had a couple things going on the last week here in the North Penn School District. And we usually talk about what happened at the action meeting, some of the action there. But the big headline at the action meeting and at our Safe Schools Committee meeting we had last night as an incident we had here at North Penn High School. Several folks came to the podium to talk about their concerns. And then we had a Safe Schools meeting to also review some of the things we've been talking about as far as policies and procedures, those types of things. Generally, we don't need to rehash the whole event. We've been doing that for the past week or so.
Sure.
But I just want to talk about what you heard at the Audience of Citizens and then the conversations we've had since that time. And as we go, we always do like to say the reason we do this is the first time you clicked on this magically is to just talk about action meeting and things going on in the North Penn School District. And we do take your questions here as part of our Facebook Live format. So if you have some questions as we talk here or some comments, throw it in there. And let's just start there, Dr. Bauer.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So you summarized it very well that we had significant information provided at the action meeting on Thursday night, which was the 23rd. So if you did not watch that meeting, please feel free to hop on. It is posted to YouTube, as always. We've been doing that for years and years, which we're very proud of. And then last evening, we had our Safe Schools Committee meeting where we provided further information, more discussion. Chief Troxel from the Townsend Township Police Department attended. And we had some questions from committee members, all while respecting the fact that the student involved in this situation has due process rights. So not going to talk about a student. First of all, students are minors, but second of all, that individual will have disciplinary proceedings as a result of the incident. And the person deserves their right to those proceedings. So that all said, Bob, I would say that since the incident, which was, as I said the other night, I said last night, and I'll say again, it's very, very scary. When you get that phone call as a parent, as you get that phone call as a staff member, you get it as a superintendent. It is a scary thing. But the feedback that I've received, and I would put the number at, I'm irresponsibly guessing 15 to 20 emails I've received total, maybe. Me personally, certainly I've kept tabs on the emails that Mr. Hassler has received as well. A lot of them are like, thank you. We appreciate the information. But would you consider, can you please, have you thought of? And there were a lot of really productive conversations and discourse. There were some things said that were just flat out not true. Or speculation or irresponsible things said. But for the most part, everything was really valid and like, yes, we can do better in that regard. One key point, which involves you, of course, is just communications, right? And the communications it's never enough. You hear that all the time. We want more, we want it faster kind of thing. Last night, Chief Troxel went into a lot of detail saying, look, we need to get this right. And this was not a situation in that moment. The event itself, from when we received it, delivered it to the high school, and then went to find the student that the report was about. And by the way, that report was not, this is in school today. It was not, there is a threat at school today. It was not that. It was, this kid has been saying this. We don't know. It was not a long, let's use an example of another very public event, was the fire, Bob. Sure. Remember the fire back in 2016, where we were sending multiple updates throughout the course of the event. You were so involved in all of that. Of course, we weren't in the building, we were outside, but we had to provide updates throughout. This was from the moment it's received till the moment we have a resolution at the building was 2 minutes. So there wasn't a need to send all kinds of communications in that moment. It was, okay, we know what happened. We know the resolution in this moment. Let's get the correct information. So, and that takes time. And certainly we need approvals to share certain things. So that was kind of the basis of a lot of the feedback. People were very appreciative of everything that Mr. Rohn did, Mr. Hassler, Mr. Jones, also known as Bernie, and the ways in which they responded to the information. But it was really about when, how, and to whom you communicate.
Sure.
That was if I'm summarizing, the general consensus.
Yeah, it kind of gives you the back end of, the decision-making process, when and why we do communications, and why some things are immediate confirmations. Many times say, hey, by the way, this happened today. We want to make sure you know. So there's all types of events that happen on a daily basis. This is a big one, right?
Yeah.
And of course, parents would want to know and be very concerned about the speed of which we can provide that information. And we continue to talk about our best ways of doing that and the criteria for doing that. And we'll continue to take the feedback on what parents want and need in our communications. Some of the other pieces I think that were interesting last night was talking about, talking about the Evolve system in general, because there's a lot of comments about the use of Evolve and when, where, and how that happens too, which was deployed in the last year and a half. 2024, I think, is when it was purchased, right, for the start of last school year. And of how many units we have, how come they're not everywhere, and how do we use that? And we talked at length last night, Safe Schools meeting, to get into the full details of that. But any feedback on that for our Facebook Live folks, talking about we have 4 Evolve systems, right? 4 total.
4 bays, yes.
Yeah, that can be deployed. And just talking about, the policy of that, because we had a policy meeting before that too last night.
Yeah.
The policy of where, when, and how we use the Evolve system and how that is evolving now.
Yeah. I see the pun.
Thank you.
So metal detectors and weapons detection systems is something that's been discussed in schools forever, right? And there are some school districts who have more of a history of weapons being in their schools that have utilized metal detectors. Typically, they are smaller schools than what we have. There was a time we had a school safety forum, I'm going to say 2015, where a local, maybe 2016, I don't know, where a local expert kind of said it would take 3.5 hours to do metal detectors at North Penn High School at arrival. And it was like, it's not pragmatic. It's not a solution. It's not something we can do every day. That many people in that short amount of time is just not happening. However, technology has evolved. You did that too. And I wonder if that's the antithesis of...
Could be the name. Why that's the name. Yeah. We'll get into that.
But anyway, it has evolved, and it is something that we can handle to some degree, right? So we have 4 bays. And when we brought it on at the recommendation of Mr. Rohn last year, you're right, it was something like 14 months ago. It was, okay, we're not going to do this every day all the time. It is going to be let's see how this works. Let's try it. Let's work out some of the kinks and utilize it when we can. So as I outlined last night in the Safe Schools Committee meeting, the policy was written initially back then as randomly at our schools, just as a tool to randomly check if there's an increased reason for threat or concern. And the other was large-scale events where we have a lot of visitors to our campus. So some of the evening activities, those types of things, graduation, proms, dances, things like where there's a lot of people we don't know. And I reiterated last night the fact that the best method for addressing safety issues is building relationships with kids.
Yeah.
Right. The adults knowing the kids and the kids feeling comfortable reporting things. Right. So that's the best means to school safety. People knowing the children and supporting them and knowing when something's wrong and reporting when they see something, they say something. But this is just another layer on top of all the other programming, the social emotional programming and education, PBIS, MTSS, child study, all these things layered in with security cameras, with security guards, with school counselors, school psychologists, all these different things that help to keep your school safe. So I said the other night, and this is, Bob, this is the honest truth, and it's almost hard to believe that the morning of this incident, we had a policy meeting with Mr. Summers. We have a monthly meeting where we bring up policy. There's like a cycle to reviewing your policies, right? When you're a school district with, I'm going to throw a number out there, 100 policies, plus all the administrative regulations, you're in a continuous cycle of reviewing them. That has not always been the case in the school district, a continuous cycle of review. But we've been in this cycle for a long time now. And that morning we discussed policy 226. I have a phone call here, Bob. I suspect I'm going to have to run.
Gotcha. I'm also getting phone calls too.
Yeah. So I will have to step out in a moment. But anyway,
Yep.
I will say that morning we discussed this policy, 226, and Mr. Summers was redlining the policy and making changes so that we can use the system more frequently. Because when it was initially, purchased, it was only those 3 situations. So there was some commentary like there was no process, there was no, that's not true. There was a policy written when we purchased, these are the reasons you can, because students have rights and you can't just search kids because you want to. So what is the legal precedence for being able to use weapons detection technology, those types of things? So of course, hindsight is 2020. Of course, you wish you had it set up that day at North Penn High School.
Sure. Yeah.
It wasn't. But that morning, there were conversations about making changes to the policy. And then those changes came before, because we were discussing to propose them at the policy committee last night, Monday night.
Yep.
So
which always takes place last Monday of every month as well.
It's a regular cadence. And so that's actually something that was going to be on the agenda even before this happened. So we discussed it last night. So those who did not watch, please watch. Mr. Summers gave a really thorough explanation about the policy and how that all works. So Bob.
That being said, I'll drop in those links here in the chat for everybody watching, because I know we're going to be truncated here a little bit. So you can go back and watch those pieces. We only have one commenter the whole time, so I have to say hi to Chibuka because he keeps saying hello.
Hey, Chibuka. Chibuka was a student when I was the high school principal, and Chibuka is a very nice young man. I hope you're doing well, Chibuka.
Gotcha. So I'll throw in those links here. I know you got to get moving. I'll throw in those links to take a look at the statements from the school board meeting, and as well as the Safe Schools and I guess policy meeting. I'll throw those links in there. As always, they're always on our channel, and they're even on the board docs. So when you click on the agenda item and go to look at the agenda, you can watch the video on board docs as well. So we've got these videos everywhere, and if you hadn't had a chance to do that, we encourage you to take a look there. Other than that, the other big news from the meetings, big one as always, we're talking about budget. As crazy it is, we began budgeting, and the board has proposed, or the board voted to not exceed Act 1 index, so there's not going to be any exceptions. And a big note that we may not have seen or noticed, we know internally here, is Dr. Mike McKenna will be leaving us at the end of this calendar year in December, correct?
Yeah, so Dr. McKenna, I am grateful to say he's not leaving us for another school district. That's really happy news for us, because if he was leaving us for another district, I'd be very jealous. Dr. McKenna has just been a great addition to this team. He's been here about 5 years. He's our chief academic officer, previously the director of elementary. He's actually leaving to work in kind of private equity. It's an interest of his, and he's going to work for a friend of his. So we're sorry to see Dr. McKenna leave, but glad we have him for a couple more months. He's done such a great job here. And starting to talk about budget. They passed the resolution to not exceed the Act 1 index. There are reasons why you can. We are not going to adopt any of those or explore any of those reasons. I think Act 1 is projected to be 3.5. So those were the big items on the agenda. In terms of actual action that we were taking that evening, there weren't many significant items. There were a couple surveys on there, some personnel items, but obviously the big conversation was the one that you and I just had. So really encourage people to watch the October 23rd meeting, watch last night's Safe Schools meeting. And the chief did emphasize, like, I can't just say certain things because this is still being under investigation. But watch that. Chief Troxel chimed in last night, and some really good information.
I just want to answer one of the questions that came up, just so people are clear too. So we talked about using these at the high school. The Evolve system will still be available to deploy to other schools as needed, just like we have been doing.
Yes. So
that was a question from Nicole here about whether or not they're still going to be able to be rotated in the schools, those types of things. I just want to make sure we getting a little engagement here right as we're about to leave.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, Andy and Julie and Nicole, for joining us here. But I do want to answer that question quickly before you head out.
Yes. So the Evolve system for now will live at North Penn High School. And certainly it is a mobile device. So it's not like as easy as pick it up, throw it over your shoulder and walk, but it is something we can move. So can it still rotate to other schools if we receive some concerning information about one of our other schools at night and we don't have the time to investigate and talk to kids and get an understanding of what's going on, could we bring it that day to another building? Absolutely. We also budgeted this year to purchase more. That was, last year we budgeted for this year. So there is money in the budget for more bays to expand. And we talked last night about scaling. So yes. Now, do we have the capability to have every single door covered across the entire district? Absolutely not, Bob. That's just not a pragmatic solution. We threw the number out there. I think there are 50 doors at North Penn High School alone. I think that's probably a responsible guess, 50 exterior doors. So the idea is lock all the other doors except the ones where you're utilizing this at arrival time. So that's the conversation we had last night. So if anybody's interested, please watch last night's Safe Schools Committee meeting because we really talked about all these things.
Gotcha. Yeah, just a couple questions that are coming in here, and that's definitely in the Safe Schools piece. And there's, people asking about the budget component of like, well, what's it cost, right? So I think the other thing to keep in mind is it's not just the physical hardware, it's the staffing of it, because an evolved system doesn't run without people. You have the people there monitoring it. You have people pulling them aside, doing the search, looking at what's in a bag, those types of things. So I think that full discussion, we're obviously going to continue to talk about that. So I encourage people to look at the Safe Schools and then join our next one. And we will continue to talk about the number of evolved systems that we will budget, the ones that we can afford, and keeping in mind it has to be staffed to run it as well. So that's a big conversation because those are the same question. They're like, well, we should have them everywhere. How come it's not on every door? And just do it. So there's bigger pieces that's beyond budget. And like you said, being pragmatic about the ability to run all those systems and make sure that we're effectively using them as well. So
we Mr. Rohn said, like, school safety and security there's not one tool. Right. There's not one thing. There's not one person that is school safety. It's a lot of things layered together to work together. And you have to have redundancies across. So everything from our mass notification system, alert us, right? If I have the ability on my phone right now to call a lockdown or an emergency procedure at any of our buildings, right? And a lot of people have that capability. So there's a lot of layers here. You are correct that sure, it does take staff, it takes equipment, it takes all those things, but it's not the only thing. I'm not aware of another school district in our county, Bob, or our neighboring counties that utilize the technology. But I'm proud that we are phasing that in and scaling it. Again, it's a part of our school safety plan. So just once again, want to reiterate, please watch the October 23rd or last night's meeting. Bob, I do need to run.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry.
I keep pulling you back in, but I'll drop those links in here for everybody else. We appreciate you guys spending some time this morning. Becky, Rob, Nicole, Chabuka, who else was in here with us? Julie, Andy, thank you so much for engaging with us this morning. Dr. Bauer, I'm going to let you go, and you guys can look for those links here in the chat.
And Bob, if necessary, let's hop back on and have a conversation sometime soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Got to run. I'm so sorry.
Yep. See ya.